Hello and welcome back to another episode of Wrapping My Head Around It. And today, as with every other guest, this very, very special guest, someone who I actually really kind of was into when he was on the X Factor. Mr. Danyl Johnson, how are you, sir?
Don't say it like that because I feel like it was a long time ago. You're like, I was into him on X Factor. Do you know that was 14 years ago?
14 years?
Just to make us feel old.
No.
I went and did a talk at a school and not one person was alive.
Wow.
That was hard. I went back to my university to go and watch a show, and the cast, everyone was not alive when I was at that university. It's super weird getting older.
That's mad.
It's fine.
But it's fine. We've got this.
It's cool.
It's good.
We're good.
How are you, mate, anyway?
I'm good. Weather sucks.
Awful.
Because it was great.
Yeah.
In October, and we're like, this is amazing. And now it's just gone downhill.
Literally, like, what was it, 26 at the weekend? Yeah. And then suddenly, grey skies, proper autumnal weather.
But I will say, this is the weather it should be.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
We complain about, global warming and sort of like climate change, and then we're like, it's so horrible. You're like, no, actually, it's October.
Yeah, it's actually the right thing to be. So.
I've gone straight into weather talk. What's happened here? I'm so sorry about that. Like, I'm at the hairdressers.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I've been on some great holidays if you want to find out. It's fine.
Oh, mate, well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it.
It took 4 hours, so don't worry about it. It's
4
fine.
hours?
No, I'm joking. Christ. It was 3.
Well, with Al's episode, it took us 4 years to get it sorted, so...
There we go. That's not too bad.
I know. We're always just consistent with the fours.
Big Al is a legend. I know he doesn't like to be called Big Al anymore. But
yeah.
He is a legend.
He is a lovely guy.
Just call him Al.
Yeah, just call him Al.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, see. So, Danyl, thank you so much for coming on, man. As I alluded to, obviously, you were on the X Factor a few years ago. And, I will say it, I voted for you every week. I went through, I was like, It'd
be awkward if you voted for Joe McElderry.
Oh, mate, can you imagine?
No, but he's a legend.
He is.
I love Joe. We got Ollie, and got Stacey, you got Jedward, you got like Lucy Jones, you got loads of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to.
Yeah, but absolutely, man. Like in our house, you were the winner that we were waiting for.
Sorry to let you down.
No, mate, you did not. Absolutely,
I came fourth. That's not even flowers. You know what I mean? Like, I got nothing. It's great.
I love
Joanna Vickers came fourth the year before, so I was quite happy with that.
Exactly.
And then Cher Lloyd the year afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my only facts I know about.
That's the facts. The facts. But yeah, talk to us a bit about your journey on the X Factor, like from because you were saying before that you were a teacher and then you went into obviously the X Factor. So tell us a bit about like your X Factor story, if you like, but also going from someone who's got like a teacher job into this sort of fame and how it affected you mentally.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of all started off. I was working at like a theatre school in Reading, where I lived at the time, and I think some of the students heard like some of the teachers sing, because I guess like you kind of, if you're doing theatre, you kind of think, oh, they've had some stuff in background, but when you're 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, like you don't really care about what your teacher's talents are. It's not important. And so I remember we were doing this sort of teachers kind of parent sort of thing, and I was singing a song, and I can't remember what song it was. And I remember afterwards, this kid called Sam Chapman. He was like, "Oh, I think you should do the X Factor." And I was like, "Okay." I mean, he's 9. Like, who cares?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And I was just like, "Right, cool." And then I thought, well, do you know what? Like, I was 27 at the time, so I thought, well, why not? I'll go and do it. And if it doesn't work, then we'll never talk about it again, and I can just forget about it until someone goes, "Oh, you should do The Voice or Britain's Got Talent or any other TV show that you can do singing in." And so I was just like, I'll give it a go, and then. One of the things that happened with that is that I think that you go to these shows and you kind of audition in front of the judges, but you don't for a very, very long time.
Oh, okay.
I think there's 250,000 people auditioned for 09 show, so season 6. So it's off the back of Alexandra Burke singing with Beyonce.
Yeah.
So we're in the next episode from that happening.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then Alex goes and wins, obviously, because JLS sang with Westlife. I mean, if I was JLS and I found out that Alexandra Burke, who's also against me, is singing with Beyonce, I'm like, not comparable.
Yeah.
I want Prince.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So anyway, sort of rock up at the show. We start at the O2. Dermot's there. No one else is there. Mm-hmm. And he does some pre-filming. And then we're just sat at the O2. And I made some really lovely friends. I kept good friends with for quite a long time, actually. People started having kids and get married and stuff, moving away. Yeah. So it kind of made it a bit harder. But then got through that audition, and they just give you a piece of paper, and then you have to come back. And they asked us to go back to the Emirates, so I was quite happy about that.
Yeah.
And then they have 2 auditions, and one of them they kind of give you some feedback. The second one, nothing. So then you don't hear anything for a month, and you got a letter, and they sort of say, yeah, you're through to see the judges. So at this point, we're thinking, well, anyone else I knew who got through, I was like, oh, fantastic, it's amazing. Our year was completely different because what they went to do is they went to just do the normal sitting in a room, 4 judges, you sing in front of them, you leave. They changed it all. I think they pre-filmed it in Scotland, and then so I was like, I want to do auditions with people like in arena stuff. And so they called us and said, do you have any backing tracks? So I worked in a karaoke place in Soho for like 3 years beforehand, just on Monday, just hosting this karaoke night. And literally, I sang the song I sang in my audition 1 week before. No one cared. Like no one, there was no, but the reason why I kept with that song is because I thought it had really good backing vocals, so I could get away with not having to sing the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah, I was just like, you know, because no one wants just like a track with like nothing on.
Yeah.
And I was just like, right, okay, I'll it gives me some balance, it gives me some backing, I can, be able to do that. So obviously, so I got to this audition and I brought my sister, my friend that I lived with, and another friend called Jess. And we were sat there and it was hours and hours.
Wow.
Hours. They even used my friend and my sister for other people's backgrounds because they wanted pretty girls in the background.
Right, okay.
I mean, yeah,
The joys of television.
Yeah, of course. And me and my friend were like, oh.
Yeah.
Not being used. So I was like, all right. So, and I just went up to one of the producers. We must have been there for like 7 hours, 8 hours. No one's spoken to me. Holly's not come over. Dermot's not come over. No one. I was like, I'm just cannon fodder. I'm not really meant to be in a show. So I went up to a producer and I just said, hey, I've been here for like 8 hours. And they were like, I thought they were going to go, oh, okay, sorry, we'll get you in next. I was like, cool. They just went, are you still here?
Charming.
I was like,
fucking hell.
I still got my number on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they went, oh, we'll just put you out somewhere at the end.
Oh, right, okay.
So I was like, cool, I'm going to go back to my friends and then go, yeah, they don't care about me. So anyway, I get onto the lineup and there's like 5 people, end of the day. Apparently judges are fuming. No one's been good that day.
Right.
It's been a really bad day for everyone. And I'm second from last. So I'm like, yeah, again, not important. Last person, going to save the best to last. And this guy was singing a Christina Aguilera song and he was like I would say like 1 bar out of time.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So the music was kind of playing, but he just wasn't singing at the same time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God.
Bless you.
Yeah. And then, when the music just stops cold as well, they're like,
Yeah.
There's a hand up by Simon and it just stops cold. And I said to this girl behind me, she said, I'm really nervous. And I said, oh, cool. What are you singing? She told me. I was like, that'd be great. And she sang it a little bit. I was like, you sang great. And she said, what are you singing? I said, a little help from my friends. And anyway, I said, you'll be great. And you're last. They're going to love you. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. I walked onto that stage. Well, if you go onto YouTube, you can just see what happened.
Yeah.
I never saw that girl ever again.
Oh.
I'm so sorry that you went after that situation. Because obviously I went onto that stage and what happened, you probably couldn't do it now, I got wolf whistled at. Old
right.
school.
Okay.
If you don't know what that is, it's 2023. It's someone going...
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do it anymore.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what happened. I walked on stage and that happened. And I'm wearing some random crazy long shorts. It was a hot day.
Yeah.
And this top. I worked at Gap, so everything I wore was from Gap.
Nice.
And
on brand.
on brand to get sponsored for later. And they sort of said, oh, hi, who are you? And I said, my name. And they said, what do you do? I said, I'm a teacher. And that moment changed the whole audience. I don't know what happened. And they said, what are you going to sing? And I said, oh, this song. And they said, oh, what else? I went, I've got 3 other tracks. And I said those. And they went, we don't like any of them. Now, none of this is on the audition. And
right.
Like, okay. I was like, actually, the one with a little help is not the Beatles. It's Joe Cocker. And they said, oh, okay, go for it.
Yeah.
And then I did that audition. And the reason why it came across as it did is because I'd already been told that I wasn't going any further because they were like, oh, you still here.
Yeah.
So I was free.
Yeah.
I didn't have any sort of thing to worry about. I was just like, let's go, have fun,
Yeah.
go home. And then obviously that completely didn't happen because Simon, Well, all of them said some lovely stuff.
Yeah.
Simon said a line that I would say in the time probably changed my life.
Well, I mean, you know, Simon's actively said on the show and afterwards that it was the best audition that he's heard, best first audition that he's ever heard. And I'll be honest, mate, yeah, I completely agree. He's absolutely fucking smashed it. But yeah, like, so, you know, when he said something like that to you and you just said there that it changed your life, like, what did that do for your drive and what you wanted to do in your career that was singing at that time then?
Every time I ever hear what Simon Cowell said about my audition, I remember just my friend who was in the show as well at the same time. We were just chilling on the sofa, and he was just messing around on Twitter. And you know when your friends just complete bants?
Yeah.
Right? There's no way they're giving you into your ego or anything like that. They're just like, whatever. And I remember we're just sitting on the couch and he's on Twitter. And he wrote this tweet, and then he went, look at Twitter. And Twitter was 1 year old, so who's looking at Twitter? And it just said, what would you do if I sang out of tune? Which is the first line of the song that I'm singing on the song. And he says, tell Danyl Johnson it was the best first audition ever. I was like, you son of a gun. Already taking the mick. Like, I was like, this literally has lasted like a week. And
Yeah,
literally.
literally.
Taking the mick. But yeah, I kind of like that because my friends have always, and they still do, bring me back down to side.
Yeah.
And so I never let it get carried away. And when we went to boot camp, like a month later, you know, there's this whole kind of, everyone's kind of fussing around me. And I'm like, I don't understand why, because it's not on TV yet.
Yeah.
So I might have auditioned, it might have gone well, but I don't know if they're going to use it. I don't know if someone's going to come in who's better than me after that, next week or whatever. So I kind of just went along with it. But what actually happened is when I got to boot camp and judges' houses, I had lost my voice.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was like, but no one wants to hear that. Like, I don't want to hear that excuse. It's terrible. I've been singing in a house band for a week back to back at Henley Festival, and I blew my voice for maybe 2 months. And so I'm overcompensating really badly, but I can't sing the songs that I'm supposed to be given. And I think the reason why I got through into the show is because of that audition.
Yeah.
Like, thank goodness. But then the live shows, and obviously you ask questions about that in a minute, but the live shows was when everything went crazy.
Yeah, because I can imagine, obviously, like at that time, although you had the O2 that was a big one, and you had like the preliminaries, and then judges' houses is just you and the judges, and obviously the production crew and stuff like that. But when you get into the live shows, you know, that must be the next level. You've got a live audience every Saturday night and Sunday at times as well with the show.
Yep, first year of Sunday.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was Saturdays and Sundays, so you got two live audiences, different audiences as well. You know, you could have a really lovely one on Saturday, potentially a shit one on the Sunday, and then you're just kind of like, oh, okay, well, this is where it matters because it's the results and things like that. But when you went into the live shows then, how did you notice the difference in the way that it kind of, I want to say, affected you mentally? Because, you know, like I would imagine, as we said, you know, going from your teaching days into this whole stratosphere of the biggest show on the telly at that point, and then now going into the live part of that, which is like the sudden death kind of cutthroat bit. How did that affect you?
Do you know, I was kind of lucky because I did the show when I was 27, so I'd lived a life. So, you know, all these things that look like could massively affect you, like newspaper stuff, TV stuff, people that you like, you know, not saying nice stuff about you that you've never met, but you liked them when you were a kid. You know, I was lucky enough that I'd already experienced like just being in the workplace.
Yeah.
You know, I'd already experienced this life. And yet, if you're doing the shows younger and you haven't experienced those things, I think it's really, really tough. I'm not saying that I didn't have tough times. When we start, the first live show was one of, I think it's in the top 20 of the most complained things on TV ever of what happened to me on the first live show. So I didn't really start easy because my audition's blown up.
Yeah.
Then they kind of skive over my, you know, all the other, you know, judges' houses and boot camp and stuff like that because it wasn't great. And then we get to this live show and all of a sudden, like, I'm front and center. And I honestly, I'm like, I'm not used to that. I used to be in bands when I was younger, so I never, ever had to deal with stuff by myself. I always had like a crew of people. And this is the first time I'm like, oh, focus is on me. And how do I deal with it without having my friends around me? I had other people who are my competition around me that I got on with so well.
Yeah.
but people took it either really seriously or like myself was just like, I'm just quite happy to be here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which, by the way, it's super annoying. Imagine you're in this competition and someone's in the room who's just like, just quite happy to be here.
Yeah, just here for the ride.
That was me. Instead of like people like, do you want to win? I was like, I couldn't care. This is amazing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how crazy is this? Because we were picked out without being scouted. We stood in lines. And Stacey Solomon, she camped.
Really?
On her first audition. Well, I'm going to actually say, I think her sister camped for her and then she met her later.
Right, gotcha.
We'll get Stacey in here. And she
yeah. Stacey, come on, we'll clear this up.
But, you know, we weren't scouted. I don't think there's a TV program that's not scouted now.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that when they were going through the processes years later that you had to do bits online and they picked you up from YouTubes and social medias and stuff like that.
I think James Arthur was the last person to be not scouted from the show. Everyone else since has been. Yeah.
Interesting. I never knew that. Yeah. That's mad. But yeah, so talking about the live shows, obviously smashing performances week in, week out, some mixed reviews from when I remember watching it and obviously doing a bit of research before here, YouTube and loads of stuff, mixed reviews on certain ones. But the one that really got me, and you know, we spoke about this beforehand, so the Danny Minogue incident.
First live show, by the way.
First live show.
First live show.
Right.
But if you watch this back, and I ask people to watch it back because I think Danny gets a really bad rap for what she does and what she says. But if you watch back the others, it's nearly worse.
Right.
She just messes up by trying to say, you know, when someone says a joke and it's not funny.
Yeah.
And then they say it again.
Yeah.
They think the joke is funny.
Yeah.
They don't think they've done anything bad. And so with Danny, you know, I think if you're on a TV program, I think it's the gayest way to be outed in the entire world by the second Minogue sister. Like, how gay is that?
Yeah.
Like, it's just,
Yeah.
Like, Barbara Streisand may as well walk out and, like, throw a flag on you and be like, ah, there you go.
There you go, mate.
Here's some glitter as well. You know what I mean? Just in case they didn't hear you in the back. I don't know, like, it's so funny because that story is so, my version of it, her version of it, other people's version of it are completely different. I see 19-year-old, 18-year-old kids making TikToks about that story. I was like, mate, you were like 4 when it happened.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's so weird. But, you know, it really came about because I was singing a song. They kept on changing songs all the time. Like, you think these TV programs are organized. They're not.
Right, yeah.
But neither am I. So, you know what I mean? Like,
run with the chaos.
You just run with the chaos.
Yeah.
And so songs are in, songs are out, blah, blah, blah. And they're trying to make a show, and it's not based on you. It's based on a show. And so they said, hey, do you want to sing a song from Dreamgirls? Now, I'm not the biggest musical theatre fan. It's fine. And I've never seen it. I've never heard the song. I know that Jennifer Holliday sang it originally and Jennifer Hudson sang it in the film. She won all these awards. It's a big song. And hey, do I want to sing a song that Jennifer Hudson's singing? The answer is no.
Yeah, because J Hud's unreal.
No. I can imagine how Ollie Murs feels on The Voice when she starts singing a lot. Do you want to sing Ollie afterwards? He's like, no.
No, I'm okay. Yeah.
No. Because then Tom
gets
You know what I mean? He's got some lovely tunes, but like Jennifer Hudson sat there, Tom Jones sat there. It's quite difficult. Anyway, so they sort of said to me, "Yeah, you're gonna have to sing this song." And I was like, "Okay." And then my friend said, "Oh, you're gonna change the lyrics." And I was like, "I don't know if I'm allowed to, but yeah, maybe." And so the line is, "You're the best man I've ever known." Right? That's the line, right?
Yeah.
But it's first live show, and they were like, "Oh, you're gonna say that?" I was like. If it was maybe show 4, 5, 6, maybe, you know, but otherwise it's show 1. I don't want to bring light to anything. Yeah. I just want to sort of go on the radio and just sing songs and stuff like that.
And I would imagine your anxiety at that point, show 1, and then the thought of changing lyrics is through the roof, skyrocketed.
Yeah, and there was just some stuff, arguments happening in the house. You know, you put 18 people in a house together, you know, and in a competition. It's tough.
Yeah.
You know, so there was loads of stuff going on. We hadn't seen our family for like 2.5 weeks. So I didn't have the normality of my mates and stuff like that, like, you know, to talk to. And yeah, we had phones. I mean, I think it's like iPhones have been out for like a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we didn't really have smartphones. We just had like Nokias or whatever. So I think when that happened with Danny, I was talking to her assistant, and we were talking about, like, he said, "Are you going to change the lyric?" And I was just like, "Probably not." He's like, you should do it. I was like, yeah, we'll talk about it. And the lyric, I just changed it. You're the best girl. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Right. But beforehand, they've been massively speculating about my sexuality, like massively, newspaper wise.
Yeah.
And I remember News of the World, not here anymore, that literally were running a story, and they phoned me up and they said, hey, Danny and Cheryl are the judges, the female judges on the show. What do you think of them? Do you reckon they're beautiful? And I was like, yeah, of course. They're like, okay, what about Simon and Louis? Do you think they're handsome? I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, have you had girlfriends before? I was like, yeah. And I said, how many? I was like, I'm probably not going to answer that question because I don't want you then to go find them.
Yeah.
If I say 6, then you're going to be like, right, let's find those 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was just like, I'll leave it. And they said, have you had a boyfriend before? And I said, yeah. And I said, how many? I was like, same. And the next day, the article, very cleverly, which was by, spelt B-I, the way Danyl fancies Danny, Cheryl, Simon and Louis. And then that was it.
That's bullshit. Though. Like, you know, people.
It's clever.
People want to sell papers and
Yeah.
shit, but that's your life, man.
Yeah,
Like,
but they don't care.
I
Because
know.
it's their life.
yeah,
They don't care on individuals. They, you know what I mean? That we've seen it all through with Caroline, with Amy. You know, we've seen the people just do it. Even with the protagonists that we think are slightly controversial right now, with like Holly and Philip and stuff. Like, people still gang up on these people.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know if you've seen the episode of Black Mirror, but there was an episode about bees, and if you wanted to say I really hated that person, and you wanted them to be on this kill list on this program, spoiler alert, these bees would kill who was ever number one.
Yeah.
And at the end of the whole thing, spoiler alert, like anyone who'd voted, the bees then turned around and killed them because they're like, you're part of the problem too.
Right.
So I tried very hard not to slag off other people that I don't know.
Yeah.
Just because I've seen them on a TV program and I go, I don't like you.
Yeah.
I don't know them. And they have a family and they have
Yeah.
friends and they have feelings too. If we're talking about mental health, that's got to be everyone's mental health.
Yeah.
It can't be just the ones of the people that you like.
Yeah.
So Danny said what she said. What happened in the show, she said something about the gender reference. It went down really badly. But what happened that night, and it probably saves her job, is that Stephen Gately died from Boyzone.
Yes.
So
yeah.
the next day, Louis not there.
Yeah.
So she's just there with Simon, with Cheryl, and it's a different vibe. It's a massive vibe. And also performing that week on the Sunday was Cheryl Cole with her first time of ever performing Fight for This Love.
Fight for This Love. Yeah.
So that's massive.
Yeah.
You know, so we've got all of these kind of things going on.
Yeah.
And she spoke to me and we talked about it and she said sorry and that's cool.
Yeah.
Like if you mess up in life, say sorry.
Yeah.
If you stand on my foot and you didn't mean it, I don't care. Just say sorry and it stops. Don't dig in. Don't lie.
Yeah.
Don't dig in.
Yeah.
You know, and I think a lot of people want to come out on top even when they're wrong. And I think that's a massive problem. You can put your hands up and be like, got it wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I hurt someone's feelings, I will say sorry.
Yeah.
I will say sorry. But even if I mean it or not.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. But I think also, you know, when I'm watching the clips back, when Danny said what she said and seeing your face at that point, and you saw that your face dropped and you were like, oh, just like in that specific moment, live on telly in front of millions, that has just happened. What was your initial feeling? Obviously, we've said about like the stuff with Danny, but what was your initial feeling at that point?
It's just embarrassment, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same as being asked by your parents if you got a girlfriend or boyfriend when you're like 13, like you're like, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, don't talk about me like that. That's so weird. So when we're doing stuff like on TV, it's just a camera.
Yeah.
I don't think about millions of people watching, and there's an audience there, but the audience wasn't massive. You know, I think there's like 2,000-3,000, maybe less than that. And so, but I think in that moment you're like, what? I think it catches you off guard, and then you realize that you are in the middle of something that you are not in control of.
Yeah.
There was no control. No one really smokes anymore, but I did then. And I think that honestly was a way of calming me down. Because we couldn't drink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Actually, me and Holly used to sneakily have a cigarette just by the wardrobe.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because it would either be that or Smoke Outside with Paparazzi. I was like,
Yeah. Swings and roundabouts.
not going to do that.
Yeah.
But I've actually given up for 10 years now, so it's fine. It's all
Congratulations.
Good. That's fine.
But yeah, so, you know, obviously, fast forwarding a little bit, came fourth, incredible run in the X Factor. And like you said, Stacey, Ollie, and Joe then went on into the final.
Yep.
You were there at the final, obviously singing as well.
Yep.
That must have been unreal. But like, post X Factor then, obviously you did a few other bits and bobs, and we were speaking before about that you went in on a show that was for Eurovision, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us a bit about that, because representing at Eurovision must be mad.
There's an audience for Eurovision, and they are very honest, very determined. They guard Eurovision like nothing I've ever seen before, and you know, they're very opinionated, and it's tough, which is hilarious because we've had, no offense to anyone, crap songs.
Yeah.
For such a long time.
Yeah.
Sam Ryder, incredible.
Yeah.
Smashed the pants of it. Lucy Jones, who was on my year as well, she did really well.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, God, it's painful.
What was that one? Was it, who did the airplane one for us? I can't remember what they're called.
No.
But yeah, I looked at that and went, really? Is this what Britain's about? We're like, you know...
Or was it Scooch?
Scooch, that's them. I was going to say Scooter, but that's a logical song, isn't it? But yeah, like looking at Scooch and like other acts like that, and then you see obviously in other parts of Europe where they've got the very dramatic performances, you know, the lightning, the wind, the rain, the this, that, and the other, and they're just like, yeah, we're fake cabin crew.
It's a tough one because you gotta slightly take it seriously, but then also you've got to have fun with it. So I understand a bit, but every other country either takes the mick or really takes it seriously, and normally the one who takes it seriously normally wins, right? You know, you could be quite gimmicky but cleverly, you know. So I got asked to do You Decide, which is like the preliminaries for the show, and so there were 6 contestants, myself, Lucy, and 4 others. And they said it was on Christmas Eve, so literally the 23rd of December, and they said, hey, can you learn this song and send it back to us in an hour?
Jesus.
Now, one, I'm drunk.
Yeah, it's Christmas.
It's Christmas. I'm at my friend's family's house. Lucky enough, they had like this gym area, which had really good acoustics. So I just learned the song in an hour, which if anyone knows, like... that's not a thing or power that I possess.
Right.
Yeah, I don't learn stuff quickly. It takes me ages. So I learned the song. I had to film it and then send it to them. And they were like, yeah, cool. And it wasn't an easy song. And then I said, who else is doing it? And they were like, we can't tell you, but someone you know. And I was just like, okay, cool. And I kind of would guess it would either be Joe or it would be Lucy. So I phoned Lucy. I was like, is there something going on? She's like, maybe. And anyway, so I figured out we're both doing it. It's great. So there's a live show on the BBC, and it was all very strange because I don't like live TV when you're not used to doing live TV. And it's a one-off show live TV. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Pre-record it and have a live element of when the votes are.
Yeah.
Because then you can make it look and sound the best and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And if there's any problems. So I get up and I get to my song. And the backing vocals, because you know I love backing vocals. Backing vocals were going around and... I can hear a voice in my ear that isn't my voice because I don't sing the backing vocals to start the song, and it is terribly, terribly out, like so bad. And I have noticed in that moment, live show, I've noticed that they have given my live mic to one of the backing dancers who is singing full out. Full out. Stop the video now. Go on YouTube. Watch Light Up the World for Eurovision. You decide. And watch what happens. We'll watch it after this and we'll get a reaction of what Dan thinks. But he is singing full out. Well done to him.
Yeah.
Not in tune. Right? And so, which probably makes me sound better in tune, but I've got him in my ear.
Yeah.
And why give anyone live mic'd anyway? But he's got mine turned up. So I've got his. But lucky enough, it's real. And for the first... I'd say 8 seconds of when I'm supposed to come, you can't hear a thing. And so I still have his sound in my ear all the way through. So I have no idea. It's a high, hard song. I've only learned it very, 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 like not a lot of time. We've only had very small amount of rehearsals. So yeah, so that kind of happens. And then Obviously, I didn't win, so Lucy won. So I'm
Yeah.
super happy, and she smashed it, and she's done
Yeah.
really well. And she's gone into West End, and she's an absolute incredible performer, singer, and actress as well. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd like to write the song for Eurovision because I reckon I could do that. But I definitely don't want to be in it.
No.
It's too much.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in any competition ever. You're not going to see me at the side of the stage like this.
Yeah.
After Strictly or Dancing on Ice, you're not going to see me. If you see me doing that, you know that I've been fired from my job now. Like, you know what I mean? He's not knocking on any doors anymore.
No.
He's doing a bloody waltz.
He's doing the waltz. He's not even in for a three-legged race anymore.
The funny thing is, these programs are amazing. I've already done a program like literally with just people have to vote for us. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I find that quite tough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, not that they've asked, by the way, just to, like,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things. A competition is, and the older you get, it's a bit like trying to learn how. Do you drive?
Yes. Yeah.
But if you start to learn to drive now, or you start to learn to ride a bike now, it seems more embarrassing. When you're younger and enthusiastic, it's great. It's the same with these TV programs.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't want to be judged.
Yeah, because there's enough judgment in the world as well.
There's
Social
so much
medias,
judgment.
friends, family,
Yeah.
everything. You just
It should be friends, family first. They judge you the worst.
That's very true. Yeah, that's very, very true. So, do you know what, Daniel? Like, you know, chatting to you today, chatting to you beforehand as well, like, something that I love is that you've got such a positive attitude about everything. And I love that because it comes across when we're chatting here, comes across on your social medias and everything like that. And I've heard you on other podcasts as well. We talked about Al Casey earlier. You were on his Lads, Dads, and a Couple of Beers. And yeah,
I got in there right at the end because he stops doing it.
I know.
Like,
Yeah, I was gutted. I was meant to go on it for years. And
just bring
never did.
it back from.
I know.
Just
a one-off, Al.
one-off
Come on,
specials.
we're talking to
We
you
can
now.
do it.
But yeah, you've got such a positive attitude, and obviously from going from something where it was quite a lot of negativity back in the day. How is it that you keep just remaining so positive in life?
I think you need to experience stuff to be resilient to stuff. And if you don't experience stuff, then you cannot be resilient to it.
Yeah.
So if I had an idyllic childhood or an idyllic time on a TV program, I would struggle when things go bad. So if you have ups and downs, which is the same, I don't know if you've ever had an ECG, but it's literally is a heartbeat and it's going up and down. Well, that is life.
Yeah.
Right? And if it's ever horizontal, that means you're dead.
Yeah.
So you need ups and downs because the ups make you feel great. And when the downs, you know it's going to go back up again. And so it's just movement. And so you have to take things, everything that happens to you, I sort of said, like, everyone thinks this world is against them, but I've just thought this world was never for me. So I may as well just live in it. Like, I think the problem is that everyone's like, oh, it's not going my way, and I can't believe it. And they're like, no, you're just in the way.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with you. We just live now. So you can mope around and you can feel sad for yourself and blah, blah, blah. But I guarantee you're probably not being the best you. You're probably not doing everything you can do. You're just sitting there, moping around, whining.
Yeah.
You can whine for one day. You can even whine for two.
Yeah.
But you need friends, family, work, whatever, distractions. You need to get out of it after a week. You need to, even in the saddest times.
Yeah. And sometimes that means people as well. And it's something that Al and I referenced on our episode is the difference between mates and friends.
Yes, you loved that, didn't you?
I
You
honestly,
really did. I saw that. I've
honestly,
seen that clip so many times. You keep on recycling.
I know, yeah. But no, honestly, it made me really think about it. And like you said there about things that you cut out and things that are good for you, bad for you, what you need to do to have a positive life and move forward. It really made me actually think about it. And the positivity that you bring as well has really made me think, actually, yeah, there is more to life than, what's going on currently in any situation or something like that. There's a future plan. There's a future plan that you can aspire to and go for from there. But also you actually need to live in the present and you need to be recognizing your emotions, recognizing everything.
It's the only time we live.
Yeah.
So depression is worrying about the past. Anxiety is worrying about the future, but we only live now. So what are you doing? Like,
that's really powerful. Can you say that again? That was really good.
Oh, he's going to clip it up. It's
I
fine.
love that.
But it's honestly like, so depression is worrying about the past. Anxiety is worrying about the future. But the only time we live is now. So worrying about all this stuff, either way, either direction, you're wasting every single second you have. I love time. It's so clever. If you think about time, right? You think about time is one of the things that keeps this whole world going, right? And we've kind of measured it from how many times how long it takes to go around the sun, right? It's a ridiculous situation, right? That we have that, but it grounds us all. And in this world where we're so divided, sort of, right? We seem so divided, but we're more similar than we're different, okay? But the problem is that right now in this world, we see everything that's going wrong and going bad and all this stuff. And there's so much going on in this country and around the world. But one of the things I've looked at is like, I wouldn't want to be gay 100 years ago. Right. I wouldn't want to be a woman 100 years ago. I wouldn't want to go to the dentist 75 years ago. I wouldn't want to get an operation. I wouldn't want to have cancer 50 years ago. We are progressively getting better.
Yeah.
But we are shown that we are worse. And that's the worst thing about it, that this world is not great, but it's better than we've ever been. We're sat in a studio right now.
Yeah.
No one's trying to kill us.
No. Heating's on as well.
Heating.
Thank you, by the way.
Our grandparents used to have to go into a garden to go to toilet.
Yes. Yeah.
I have 2 bathrooms in my house. Posh. But you know... I don't have a cleaner though. I make sure I'm the person who keeps it nice and clean. Though I can't clean windows. I found that out in COVID times, right? So in lockdown, I could keep the house tidy, I could keep it clean, I can cook, all that stuff. But could I wash windows?
Right.
No.
I need to forward you something that I found on TikTok, because something with baking paper or greaseproof paper gets rid of it.
Apparently you can use newspaper. It's good for mirrors and stuff like that as well. So yeah, washing up liquid. Now we're moving into different territory.
Yeah, now we're going all domestic.
My mental health is actually about me cleaning, which is one of the things that I care about. I do care about like a clean space. I make my bed every day and I get up and I make sure that my house, and I reorganize things, and I get rid of stuff. I think it's really important to not overly hoard stuff. I know a lot of people worry about that and different generations worry about stuff, but I love to take stuff out of my wardrobe, take stuff out of drawers and be like, I don't use this anymore. Yeah. It's got to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because I think you get too much clutter. Yeah. It's that thing of clear space, clear mind, isn't it? You've got too much clutter, get rid of it. If you've got too much clutter, get rid of it. Vent it, talk about it. We could do it here, like things like that, you know. And I think that's so key, just in life in general. Is just try not to hold on to too much, because where's it going to go? It's just going to end up toxic. It's just going to sit with you and just kind of go from there. Now, Danyl, I wanted to ask you, what is it that you're up to now? Then, are you still singing?
Ish. It's really funny about still sort of singing for a living is that. One of the things when you do these TV programs, they want to call you sort of like a reject or has-been and stuff like that. And they do that to literally anyone. And if you haven't been around for a long time, they're like, oh, what are you doing now? Like, you know, what's next? And all that stuff like that. And I think if you look at it, especially people in our year with Ollie, he went on to go and host stuff. He was a judge on The Voice. And, you know, and he was moving around. He wasn't singing as much. He still sang for the King's coronation, but he moved on. Stacey. Yeah. There's a huge generation of people don't even know that Stacey sang.
Yeah.
You know?
They just think of her now from Loose Women and some of the other stuff.
And it's platforms.
Yeah.
You know, use it as platforms. So I do sing a little bit. I do a lot of stuff and help out for charities. There's a Pride of Reading Award, which is like the same as Pride of Britain. And so I help out with that and sometimes sing at that if they can't find anyone else. Yeah. And also I'm free. So it does make it a lot easier. But for me, like, we're moving into a different situation, and I've been writing a lot more, and we're working with this great charity called Cheer Up Charlie. And I tell you what, you should get this kid on. Like, he had a really tough time at school, and instead of just leaning into his sadness, he decided to do talks at schools, and at the age of 10, and then set up a charity to help other kids. And he's got this massive show that's happening in October, and he is I've written the song for his charity.
That's amazing.
Which I cannot remember what it's called, because I called it 3 things. I think we called it Fly? You probably can tell me it's not called that anymore, but it's fine. But yeah, so I wrote this song, and they were looking for an original song, and I said, I think I've got something for you. And he was just like, cool. And I played it to him. He was like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I was like, you can do whatever you want. If you want to rewrite any lines for it, just do that. But yeah, so I've really been loving writing. Do you know, I think the problem is that I really worry for people who make their hobby into their job. And if you do that, you need to then find another hobby to do.
Yeah.
because your job will become stressful.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like my hobby was singing and writing, and then it became my job, and I was like, what's my hobby? And that's the hardest thing. So that's quite nice. Doing podcasts as well. I mean, who isn't doing a podcast?
Yeah.
You know, how many episodes are you on to this now?
This is number 3.
Because you had a podcast before, didn't you?
I did, yeah. So I had my old one, which was just after my name, again, talking about mental health and well-being, and that ran for 61 episodes.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's
so
really good.
It
It's hard to get the milestone of 100.
Yeah.
I think that's really, if you look over and you see other people doing it, like Joe Rogan and stuff, and they're like 2,000, you're like, how
do I catch up with that?
You
like,
can't.
Yeah.
You would have to do it every day for quite a long time.
Yeah.
But it is everything's slow, and I do talks and stuff at schools and colleges and universities and stuff, and we talk about 20 tiny steps. So I get like everyone to go to the side of the room, and I get them to do 20 tiny steps, right? The tiniest, so painful. They're not even that. They can still touch the wall when they're finished. And I say like, how far have you got? And they'd be like, yeah, not far at all. I was like, cool. The thing you want the most, or the thing you want to move towards the most, you want to learn how to do. You want to learn how to play piano. You want to learn how to, ride a bike, whatever it is, right? Speak French. Think of that as 20 tiny steps. 1 week of doing that, you're a lot further into the room, right? But not that much. But if you move it all the way and you do 20 tiny steps of things you want in a year, I think it equates to about 6,720 steps.
Wow.
Right? To the thing that you want to do. You're going to be so much better at playing that guitar if you do 20 minutes every single day for a year. You're going to do so much, but you're going to be the person who started, you'd be like, I couldn't even play.
Yeah.
I spoke to my friend. He moved from Hong Kong, and I said, your English is amazing now. Like when did it click? And he was like, it's so weird because one day I had a dream. He said I couldn't do it. One day I had a dream that I could speak, and I was having an argument with someone in English, and I woke up and I could speak it. It just clicked. And it's the same as riding a bike. One day you can just do it.
Yeah.
And you can't remember not doing it.
Yeah.
It seems so weird.
Yeah.
And so all these things are slow, boring, tiny, 20 steps a day. But you do that for a year, you do that for 10 years. That's why they say 10,000 hours to be a master at anything. It takes so long. And repetition is like the most important thing.
Yeah.
Repetition is the most important thing, right? Because one of the things we do, and you speak for a living, right? You're probably not scripted for most of it.
No.
Right? And you just, though it sounds like it, because obviously very professional. But the reason why it flows so well is because either you said it before or you've heard it before. All we do is copy and repeat. Yeah. That's all we do. And all of our circuits in our brain are working out. So this sentence, what I'm saying right now, I've either said it before or I've heard it before. And if I stumble, I haven't said it enough times. That's why you can't just learn another language like that.
Yeah.
Because you have to replicate it. You might have to watch a Spanish TV program.
Yeah.
A Korean TV program. Right? And if you did that all the time, I guarantee after a year, you'll be better at, Spanish, French, Korean.
Well, do you know what? It's funny that you said that, because there was a guy, when I used to work for a bank, there was a guy that came over from India, and he was settled here, and the only reason that he learned English was watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Because that was...
What was his accent like? Did he have like an American accent?
It was an American-Indian accent that was from East London. Yeah. So it was a very eclectic mix. But... things like that. Like, I've tried to learn Spanish on and off for years.
You haven't tried hard enough, though.
That's the thing. That's the thing. I haven't.
No.
And like for that particular person, watching TV and taking in the English language at that point really made me think, why aren't you doing it? Why aren't you doing the repetition? Because previously, in a previous life, I was a musician, drummer, singer, X, Y, and Z. Yeah. But the drumming side of it, when you're doing like your paradiddles and your rudiments and things like that, you'd sit there and I'd have like this sort of drum skin, if you like, and practice that every day to go through it. And then that meant that my performances would get better. As soon as I dropped that off, that was it. I was like, oh my God, this feels alien. This feels new again.
Practice makes perfect.
Exactly.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you replicate everything, everything we do is repetition. Like, you have to, learning how to walk, talk.
Yeah.
All these things, you have to do it. And when we stumble, when we get things wrong, is because we haven't done it better. I always say that the reason why, if you go to a grandparent's house and you have their food right, is amazing, is because the stuff you're eating is their 1000th time they've made it. It's not number one. It's not the first time they ever made it. So when you make it for the first time, it's rubbish.
Yeah.
But so was theirs.
Yeah.
Didn't need it. You know what I mean? Like, and so when you do things, think about the things you do the best. You're doing the best because you've done them most.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
That's mad. That's mad to think of it like that.
Also, you have to kind of slightly fake it.
Yeah, fake it till you make it. That's the thing, right?
Like, I'm not great at ice skating, but I think I am. I'm not doing Darts on Ice. But I think I am better than I am. And it's just confidence. So I kind of just fake it. And then I'm like, oh, I'm actually all right. Because I don't think, oh, I'm going to fall over. I can't be like that guy with a penguin. You know what I mean? I can't.
Yeah.
I can't do it. So
that guy at Hyde Park, Winter Wonderland, just like, oh, here he goes.
No. Completely like soggy, you know, wearing like these colored trousers, but they're just darker, just on the backside. So I think that everything that you want to achieve or you want to get closer to, there's no shortcut. Like, the hard road is the only road. The easy road, everyone's on it, and you still have to wait just as long, and you miss so many turnings and so many the things you need to do, the technique, all that sort of stuff. You know, when you're not great, I tell you, I said this the other day when I was doing a talk. I play tennis with my friends, right? We're all equally not great. My serve is terrible. And do you know what I don't work on? My serve. Of course. I've literally told you that my serve is terrible, so I should work on my serve.
Right.
Nope, just work on my backhand, because I can do that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Strengths, yeah.
I need to work on the things that I need to get better to make my game more rounded, because once I've got it through, then I can actually play my friends properly.
Yeah.
But my serve's so terrible that they can always get it back, and good job I got a good backhand. But if my first serve was great and we're like, ha, you've been practicing, you know what I mean? But that's all it is. But why am I not practicing? Because I get insecure about it. Because I'm like, oh, I'm not very good at it. Of course you're not. You're not done it enough.
Yeah.
That's why you're not good at French or Spanish or Italian or German. Of course you're not. You practice enough.
Yeah.
That's all it comes down to. Like, it is really important to just not give yourself a hard time. And if you want to do something, do it.
Yeah.
But give yourself 5 years to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, have a time stamp on it as well. So, Daniel, one thing that I wanted to ask you as we're coming towards the end of the episode here is, if there's any advice that you could give to anyone who has either been in a similar situation, in and out of, you know, the limelight, or, you know, someone who's gone through something like that, what would be your advice to someone to either mentally prepare for that, or in general life? Like, what would you say would be something that would be, you've given us some golden nuggets of truth as well.
You'll be seeing them in shorts.
Yeah. But yeah, what would your advice be to people to deal with, you know, sort of mental health and like we said earlier about the positive attitude?
I've said this before, but I think it's really important. I think what you need to do is you need to find out what calms you down the quickest when you're upset, when you're sad, when you're not at your best. You need to find out how you can get back to feeling better. And once you find that, you tell every single person you know.
Right.
Every person. Okay? So when you're not in the best way, I don't antagonize you, but like, oh, work's not been good today, yeah? Oh, we've been chatting with people. You're like, no, I've had a really tough day. You're like, ooh, tough day. You're like, wait a minute. Actually, what I know is just like, mate, international games on the pub. Do you want to go and have a drink? Yeah. And you'd be like, oh, I don't know if I've got time. Like, one drink. Yeah. And you're like, okay, I'll come. And that moment, you're like, thanks for that. You know, or when they come home and they just know, you know, that you like, I don't know, food, like a cup of coffee on the side, and you just go in and be like, shh, shut up. I don't want to hear. Here, have this first before we do anything. You know what I mean? Or like, I put on an episode of Friends. Enjoy. Yeah. Like, as soon as you know that, figure out what it is and then tell everyone. And then hopefully they'll tell you theirs, and then it just kind of goes around. I think the problem is that we're all guessing what is wrong with other people, and then we make things up. The reason why that person doesn't text you is not the reason why you think in your head. Yeah. It could be. Yeah. But it's probably not. Yeah. The reason why you didn't get that job is not the reason why you have what you have in your head. Yeah. It could be. I think this David Goggins said that he said when things don't go right in your life and you don't get that job, or something bad, you get dumped or whatever, it's really harsh though, but I like it. He was like, good. And they're like, what? He's like, good. Let's see what happens now then. Because the only way we grow is when things go bad.
Yeah.
And things don't work or you get it wrong. When things are great, we don't learn anything. We don't learn anything, right? It's really difficult. But if you grow slowly and every time you fall down, you get up and you grow. Like, we've got plants in this room. I'm assuming some of them are real and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, we buy plants in our house and then we watch them die and we was like, why did they die? It's because we spent no time to find out what the plant's name is and what it needs, right? You've got to make sure the people around you, you need to know what they need.
Yeah.
And you have it to hand. And a lot of the time is, someone said this, if you give your friends or you give your family love and time are the same thing. We only have a very small amount of time. We're on this planet for like 100 years, right? So if you give someone your time, you must love them.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a lot of it. So anyone that you're hanging around with that brings you down or doesn't make you the best for you or whatever, but not in the sense that they're not keeping you real. Like, you need people in there to be like, don't do that.
Yeah, bring you back down, ground you a little bit. Yeah.
You're getting too above your station. But someone who just continuously, just slightly drowns you, you gotta let them go.
Yeah.
No matter who they are.
Yeah.
You know. So I think mainly, if you can, just keep good people around you, find out what makes them tick, what makes you tick, and then just be there for each other.
Yeah.
I've always said to you, if you phone me and I miss your call, that's fine. I'll call you back when I can. If you phone me twice, I'm like, what's wrong?
Yeah.
That's the shorthand. Like, if you need me, phone me twice. But life is relatively tough. But like I said, life is not, it's not for you. You're just in it.
Yeah.
So just enjoy it.
I love that. Mate, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. And it's mad to think about some of the things that you said. There's a lot of takeaways for me today, I think. There's a lot of things that I'm
now just thinking about takeaways.
I know. Well, I was gonna say, we'll do lunch after this, don't we? But yeah, no, honestly, thank you so much for coming on, man. And, I know that there's things that I spoke about today that can be a bit sore, but I really appreciate you chatting about it. So
you're more open than anyone. I know what you're talking about. It's fine.
I try.